Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm-Up Sessions podcast. Friends, this is a very highly anticipated podcast episode. We're so stoked about this. There's lots of good stuff to talk about. It's gonna be a beefy podcast. So, any beginning words, Serge?
With the beefy podcast comes a very beefy brew. Not flavored notes of beef.
This better be like a 1-2-3 ratio.
No,
espresso.
I brewed 1,000 milliliters, so 1 liter. Normally do 800, but for this specific coffee, I believe this recipe is going to be the ultimate one.
Dude. Okay. On the nose, it smells exactly what it needs to smell like.
Excellent. Solid.
Honestly, it's a ripper. This is really solid. This is excellent.
Man, if anyone wants to replicate this brew, I'm going to give you some details. Pull out your notepads, friends. 60 grams in, 1 liter of water. On the Breville Precision Brewer, we are not sponsored by Breville, but Precision Brewer. If you have an EK and your burrs are touching at 1, this is at 11.3.
This isn't touching at 1.
They're not?
Dang it. I'm pulling espresso on 1.
No.
But if you're pulling espresso at 1.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah. You said 11?
11.3. I want
That's
finer.
much finer. Much
I
finer.
also, that's all another reason why I added more water.
Why?
We also updosed. So 60 to 1,000 rather than 50.
Is this still 1 to 16? No,
yeah.
This is more.
1 to 17.
1 to 17.
But I made the bed thicker.
Yeah.
As well. Increase a little extraction. I was tempted to go to 11. That's why.
Just handing out all kinds of tips and tricks and gold nuggets right there. And within the first 2 minutes of the pod. Look at that.
I think what I like about this cup, it has a very delicate acidity.
Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking.
And by delicate, I'm not talking about like, this is not a delicate coffee.
Mm-mm. It's actually like a really interesting, this brew at least, or maybe it's this coffee, a really interesting balance of like, it's got like a delicate like silkiness to it, but it's also has a rich, thick, like strong body, which is what you'd expect. And this is a washed Guatemalan.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that it kind of almost has both.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very nice. It's a great coffee that will probably please anyone. You can't be mad.
Yeah, even if you're kind of, if you're deep in the enthusiast world, I think you can enjoy this and respect it for the taste that it is. And then somebody that's not so much would probably enjoy this more than most coffees. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, our homie Chris enjoy this coffee. Seems like in that video.
Mm-hmm. Man, yeah, really nice acidity. Mm-hmm. Really nice. It's got like a really nice, like a rich, like sweetness. It's not chocolate. It's not caramel.
No,
it's like, I don't know, maybe plum. Plum.
Yeah, it's got a rich, deep stone fruit sweetness. I don't know if it's exactly plum. It's like a combination. It's not really cherry either.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Very excellent. This is our Jorge Mendes coffee from Guatemala, washed. This is a coffee. We've worked with Jorge Mendes for multiple harvests, multiple years, and he's a producer. Just a little sneak peek, like we've always been folks to think about, like, how do we source from producers year over year over year? Mm-hmm. We've been able to accomplish that actually already with a few producers. Yep. I was writing some stuff up for the new website, which we'll talk about, but I was like writing it up and I'm like, hold up, like multiple Sulawesi, Indonesia harvests, multiple Colombian harvests, multiple Guatemalan harvests, and I'm like, that's like the bulk. Multiple Ethiopian harvests.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second, that's
boy.
the bulk of our menu.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. But Jorge Mendes was probably one of our first iconic producers where we're like, man, there's something on this that we want to keep coming back, have it return year over year. So very tasty.
Yep, I agree.
And it's out now this morning. If you're listening to this podcast,
that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
can't believe it, man. The accumulation of this drop has been a nail biter.
A nail biter. Whoa.
Yeah, it's like
nervousness.
Nervousness. I mean, it's almost like, you know, taking a basketball game into like triple overtime. I don't know why I thought basketball.
Oh, for sure.
Instead of I don't know. There's something about basketball games being nail biters.
What is it, like the Mighty Ducks? Did that happen in the Mighty Ducks? No,
I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched the Mighty Ducks. But there's also something to say about like, you know, overtime hockey in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's unreal. It's both hell and both the best experience.
It's like, come on, let's get this over with. Finally.
But it's also incredible.
Yeah.
Speaking of overtime, isn't that what happened with the World Cup? No, am I wrong?
Oh, yes.
Messi, the Argentina won in the Anyways,
it was in overtime. You're right.
So it's let's, you know, to say the least, this drop was supposed to, you know, launch in August, and because we wanted to work on more things, we pushed it back quite a bit. I mean, it's January, and then we wanted to launch on the 1st of January, and we had to push it back just a little bit. Yeah. Because we just want to we really want to deliver an experience that is memorable, that is powerful, that is that adds value, just adds value to you as a person, so you feel like this is something special that you get to be a part of and that you get to experience and you get to taste and all this stuff. And so it's been a long time in the making.
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah. That's what you just said is like the core anchor of this whole drop. And because it took us so long, it's been something we've been reminiscing for a long time. But even like before that, I remember some of our initial conversations on the 11th floor in the Bellingham Towers building when we talked about, okay, maybe it's time that we give this mirror project an uplift, but in a way that's not necessarily all about mirror, but in a way that reflects on the coffee drinker, the folks that experience our coffee. And we started asking the questions of like, what's so important? Like, what do we get to bring? We don't own a cafe. Like, we don't really have much retail spots apart from folks who are serving our coffees. Like, we don't have those things. So what is that for us? So how can we enhance that experience? So that's the crux. That's the anchor of this whole big drop.
And it required months and months and months and months and months of meetings and emails and phone calls with whether that's, you know, meetings between you and I, or meetings and phone calls with people outside of Mir to say, hey, you have a skill, you have some kind of gift in what you do, we like it, and we want some of that to be part of this drop, because what you have, you can add value to the folks who are going to be drinking our coffee. So this is like us bringing value, but also multiple folks outside of Mir bringing value to you.
Yes, that's so good.
And that's what made this project also really interesting, because I was inspired by the people that we got to work with, and it actually inspired me even more to work with more people, because I'm like, man, there's a lot that I think I can offer, that you can offer, but there's way more that a lot of people outside of us that can chime into this. So this is like an accumulation that's taken not only a long time, but a lot of effort, resources, energy, even from people outside of us.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because it feels like a collaborative effort rather than just like this is a Mirror project, but this is Mirror and Friends. And it's been awesome. Like I'm fully stoked that you just kind of summed up those thoughts so well. Even the little things like Art by Sierra, our friend, just pitching in and helping with the initial like release of like, hey, something is coming, like stuff like that. Like some people like pitched in a lot. There's a lot of time that they gave and like invested a lot of their giftings in like design and all that. But then there's other folks who maybe just did that one little thing that was like the cherry on top. So with all of that said, this has been like a very big joint effort.
Yeah. So that's to give you a little sneak peek. But once again, like the whole point behind this is to elevate, your experience. And something that we've talked about for a while here, Amir, is that we think that coffee just on its own is really great, but there's so many more aspects to the experience that actually make the coffee, whether it's metaphysical or physically, tastier when you're drinking it. 100%. And so even to the people who you drink coffee with enhance the experience. How what you know about the people behind the coffee, what the producers, the aromas, the kind of bag you're touching, like all these things, they contribute to this experience, and this is what this is all about.
Right.
And first and foremost, I think one thing that we wanted to overhaul is the website.
Yeah.
To be honest, when we started, I was like, we need to get Mirror up and rolling. We need to get some wheels on this guy.
Yes.
So guess what? Yeah. I'm gonna put some wheels on this guy, and we're gonna hit publish and go for it. And I think that was actually I think still that was the right move for the time. And the key word here is like for the time. For the time. And it's a different kind of time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm almost coming up with this metaphor. It was basically the pallet that brought in our roaster. It was necessary for shipping. It was necessary for delivery. It was necessary for installation. But now we're moving on to greater things, a firmer foundation, my friend.
God, no.
Now we're sitting on a concrete, my friend. I know, I'm super stoked because, yes, the website does something. It's a first impression. It's like, it almost feels like a home to our e-commerce business. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was like breathing in. I agree. I think from one of the challenges that we have, as just the purely online stores, we get emails recently more than usual. Is people just like, hey, I want to come visit you guys at the cafe. Can I do that? I'm like, sorry, I wish, but that's not possible right now. Yeah. And so we're like, how do we create, a website that creates that same home experience that you can visit to get what you want, to get what you need. And something that we've experienced, unfortunately, is like, we drink coffee from other roasters, and sometimes you go on another roaster's website and you're like, there's so much extra, or there's not enough information, or you are like looking to buy a bag, but it's like so difficult to find what you're looking for.
Right.
Like there's just too much friction and uneasiness, and we're like, okay, how do we ride the line of like adding enough information? How do we ride the line of giving you showing you the intentionality behind these coffees, but also giving you an easy and frictionless experience so you can find what you need. It's clear. Hey, these are the coffees we're serving. We have a guava, we have all this stuff. And how do you get it? There it is. But then, I don't. You're
100% right on. I don't even have much to add to that, because I know exactly some websites that are hitting my mind right now that I absolutely love the roaster, but I don't want to check out on their website. And then there's other website, I'm not a big fan maybe of this coffee, but I want to go explore this website. And I think there's a middle ground. There's somewhere where we're hoping that that's what Mirror is it's that middle ground. It's intriguing. It's interesting. It's also like it connects with the person, but it also allows you to, quickly go buy a bag of coffee Like, why make it more complicated,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So I think that, and part of that is the visual experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, it's like you're frictionless, but then what does it make you feel? And part of that feeling is what you see.
Yeah.
Whether that's like the fonts that we're using, the layouts that we're using, the videos that are going to be or photos on the banner. Even, I had that sneak peek of the product photos that you took that I really, really enjoy. So it's like all of that is like that's crucial. Like visuals are important. Like for me, like why am I wearing this hat and not the other one? It's important, right?
Yeah. I think, as much as whether we like it or not, I think we humans like beautiful things, and I know beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I get it, but that doesn't diminish art itself. Like just because I might make a video that only 10% of viewers like it, but it's still art. It's still something that I put energy in and time in, and even 10% people liked it, and I'm stoked about that. Exactly. That's incredible. And so to create kind of like an experience that's it's both visually pleasing and that is is like easy to work around and to look at visually, and it works on your phone the same way it works on your computer.
So big.
Is important. But also I will say this, I was checking out on another roaster's website that I hated the experience. The coffee was actually pretty decent. I enjoyed it. But there was no way to like do like a one-click Apple Pay. And friends, I'm a sucker for that. If I can just like double tap, it like scans my face. AI like knows my face better than anybody else does.
Please.
And it's the coffee's on the way. Dude, I want to be drinking that coffee ASAP.
Exactly.
Because it's that tasty. So.
Even if I don't get to drink the coffee ASAP because I'm going to let it rest. Like, even if that's the case, I don't want to spend more time in, like, multiple checkout links.
I don't want to enter my address for the 100th time today.
Yeah. Do you think I have my credit card memorized? Like, come on.
Oh god, there was a meme of when you're shopping online, like in your bed on your phone, the pain of like having to get out of bed to go get your credit card.
No,
like,
anyway. Sometimes that was good because I didn't buy stuff because I didn't.
Fair enough. So, we launched this thing. We actually worked with an external team to do this because we think it's valuable. We're willing to go out of the way to create this, and what we're launching this week and today is just the beginning. Like we've got some things in the pipeline of how we can optimize this, whether it's including the podcast on the website, hopefully showcasing, of course the vision's always been to showcase like films of producers on the on the website, like having resources, brew guides, all this stuff that we're excited to be rolling out with time. But it's going to be good.
Yeah. Stoked on it. But a website without actual product is not really a website. So
it is a website.
Well, it is. I guess it's not a store. Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. So with that said, like we're also redesigning how we package our coffees. That was a very major thing as well. Starting with the bags, that's a big story. Like, what do we even say? Like, it took a lot of thought, energy. Took a lot of general energy as well, but it took a lot of headspace for us to work through the bags, work through the labels, a lot of sweat and tears, and sweat not because we're picking up heavy boxes, but because the stress. It was just seeping out of our
maybe not
armpits.
That stressful,
but it was stressful. It was stressful. Okay, I'm exaggerating there, but I'm also making a point. There was a lot of intention put into these bags. And one of our favorite things is the texture, how the actual bag feels. That was the initial part. Before we even created a design, we chose a bag based on size and feeling.
Yes, I think that's a big one. How it feels in your hands, both the texture of the very material, but also the size of the bag, how it feels when you grip it. I'm a huge fan of the Ziploc.
Yeah, I know you are.
Reseal. I'm a huge fan of that. Yeah. Way much bigger fan than the roll top. The roll top's great, but
Yeah.
it's just not the same.
Right.
But even just including that, I love the little tear at the top, the tear notch. Just the feel of it. What we put on the bag.
Yeah.
Sergi came up with a fun little tagline. I'll let you experience that one on the back.
Yeah,
I'll let you
totally.
experience
Yeah.
that when you get it.
Yeah.
But really, just everything is like it's like an extension of ourselves. Of us, and from the people that have already got their hands on some bags, which is just close folks around us, that's been a common comment that we've received about, wow, these bags feel different. Wow, I've never touched coffee with this kind of texture, or man, this just looks really next level and stuff like that. So it's not just the bags, but we also had to redesign the labels.
Yeah. And that was an adventure. That was a good adventure because we got to work with a new person who is just so creative. Big shout out to Jordan. So creative. Like when he made a pitch, what was it, like 30 pages? Like
absolutely
pitch.
incredible.
It was unreal. Like his imagination was just stirred up. He's like, you can take it this way, you can take it that way. And then for us as creatives, it was like a playground, and sometimes the playground was a little too big, so we had to create some boundaries and work all those things out. But long story short is we wanted a few elements on the bag that we wanted those elements to remain. That is always on the label, we're always highlighting the producer. So that is still the key. That's ultimately like the most important part of that label, is that when you grab a bag, we label the coffees after the producers.
The first thing that most likely you'll see outside of even the logo on the bag, which probably you might actually first see the producer's name before you even see the logo. Like that's how strong it is. And that's something that from a business perspective, people might talk you out of it, but for us that was like, no, this is actually important to us. I love that when it's sitting on the shelf from like at a distance, you can make out like Jorge Mendes or I love that because I mean that's such a big part of Mir. That's such a big part of what we're set out to do, and so it's going to highlight the producer a lot. But then also the very generic, information. It's gonna be some varietal, some flavor notes, origin, fun little globe symbol, which Jordan came up with. Of course, we incorporated a reflective part on the label, which I think was like something that we've always kind of thought about. And it was a pain finding somebody to make that for us. That was, again, also an extraordinary journey. But I will say this is like iterations after iterations, money just being dumped at this thing, like failures, mistakes, false printing, like so much friction, and it was just like exhausting, to be honest. But I think folks like Jordan, man, absolutely incredible. Like when he brought all of his ideas, because he was like, you guys are giving me too many ideas, too much room to play with, and the options that he gave us, I was like, dude, I didn't even think this was even possible. Like my brain could even imagine that this could reflect Mir. Yeah, like it's incredible.
Yeah. So. And one last thing to Jordan's horn here, because it matters so much to Enneagram 1, is that he really dialed in that concept. Like he knew how much we care about detail, that even the spacing, he wanted to align according to the slants of the lines in our logos. So folks, that's how much intention is in that label. And the label is part of that experience that we wanted to elevate and bring to you. Is like, man, even those little things that not everyone may notice are very, very intentional.
Yeah. And, we think like a way to represent the producer is not just to put their name in big letters and highlight them, but I think also to put their coffees in something that's beautiful, something that's elegant, something that's powerful. Like this is a homage to them, to say like, man, your coffees deserve a beautiful temporary home. From the roastery to someone, to the last brew. This is like a little home for them. and this speaks of what's inside.
Yes, that's so
and
good.
that's just about the producer. But on top of all that, there's even more that I'm even more excited is the box.
Yeah.
The coffee box is, we really pulled out every card in the game for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we, again, partnered with Jordan, but the concept was like, the box has been, from the day that we launched it, was a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Like the box sells more than anything else, and people love the variety, all the different origins that's in there, the volume of coffee that you get also, all this stuff. And so we're like, how do we take this box, this bundle, and take it to the next level?
Yeah. Man. With the design, one of the things is, I remember when we were just talking about how the coffees are going to lay inside the box.
Yeah.
That was like a big...
Yes.
That was a big deal for us because we had to figure out the size of the box before we even talked about the design. So even that in itself, like one of the things is the bag has a certain design, but when you open it, how you see those first two bags matters. Yes. But before you open it, there's these little sayings on each flap, and I'm not gonna spoil them unless you want to.
No,
I'm not gonna spoil them because I want you to read those sayings. Those sayings accumulate basically to one thing: is there's something special in the bag. We know that the coffee in there is going to be special, but there's also something way more special, and that's you, the person who's receiving the bag, the box. 100%. You're more special than the coffee there. 100%. So therefore, we want to remind you of that. Yeah. We want you to reflect on how you are special. And this is basically our gift to you to say, you deserve this box. No matter where you're at, no matter what's happening, what we really, really hope is that when you receive our coffees, especially in this box, is that you have a moment to pause and say, yes, I am valuable.
Yeah. And I think through all of this, we're thinking about how do we elevate the experience, but also how do we reflect what's good?
Yeah.
That's a common term that you hear around me. And reflecting what's good, I just think it's so important, especially in today's world of where there's so much nuance and so much noise, so many things just like clawing for your attention and focus, and oftentimes it's negative, oftentimes it's just a bunch of clickbait or whatever it is. And for us, it was like, wait a second, there's a lot of good that sometimes we don't acknowledge, and oftentimes we don't actually acknowledge that in ourselves. Right. We can't see that in ourselves. And the concept was like, how do we reflect what's good? Not just to bring tasty coffee, but how do we just give you a short little reminder that, hey, like you said, like, you're valuable. Like, there's something good in you. There's something worth acknowledging and savoring. And I hope you can enjoy these coffees, being the good, valuable person that you are. So
I'm gonna tear up. So I'm gonna cough. Got a scratch in the throat.
I'm excited, and to be honest, that's one thing that we said, hey, if we could even think of a box, what would that look like? Like the mirror box. This is what we came up with. And I hope actually everybody buys one. Yeah. Because I think the experience is going to be meaningful. I think it's going to remind you of something. And once again, a lot of intentionality went to, it's hard when you want to fit a certain amount of coffees in there, but make it small enough so shipping doesn't destroy us, which there's free shipping on the box.
Yeah.
We eat the shipping. Yeah. And that was a really hard conversation to be like, how do we manage that? Because shipping is always constantly getting more expensive. And so, so we made something work. It wasn't very easy. Still won't be easy, but hope it brings value to you guys. So.
And finally, kind of the thing that, we do is we roast coffee beans.
Really?
Yeah. So
this isn't just a big creative project.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we talked about something like that too. But yes, the actual coffees that we've sourced and we've brought to drop on this day is insanely cool. Just a little overlap, and then I'll let you dive into some details. Like we already said, we're drinking this Jorge Mendes returning coffee. It's back on our menu, and we're super excited to bring that back. We're also going to have another returning producer. I don't know if I pronounced their name right, Dinkala Mademi, something like that, from Ethiopia, of the Whoosh Whoosh varietal. Great coffee. It's a natural, but again, tasty. And then we have 2 Colombian coffees, again, coming from the Bader family. One of them is our top coffee of 2022, even though it was unreleased. We were drinking it. Y'all weren't. But it was a super tasty coffee. And again, that decaf that I think consistently impresses me, even to the point when the last cupping, I was like, Mark, make sure this decaf is going to go to a special cupping. Make sure that it's included in that cupping, because I freaking love this coffee.
Swears by this coffee.
Yeah, I'm like, this coffee is going to be like top notch.
Like, it's good, but I don't think I'd rave about it that much.
But you just probably just don't like brown sugar.
Yeah, it could
and
be,
I'm like,
it's
it's tasty.
No, it's a really solid Colombian decaf. I mean, decaf in general. Actually, somebody ran into me or we were talking, and somebody was like, "Oh, you own a coffee roasting company?" And somebody came by and was like, "Yeah, but they're decaf." That's what he's like. Yes. He's like, I don't know why people rave about them, but the biggest thing that they rave about is their decaf. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
what?
I don't think I've ever been known for that, but that's powerful. That just shows how tasty it is. But I think one more. So all of those are returning producers, except for one, which is our last coffee, which is the Guatemalan, coming to you from Wilmar Castillo, and it's an excellent coffee. It's a little gem lot, Margot Gipe single varietal. It's man.
The elephant bean.
Yeah.
Whenever Mark says that in the roastery, I can't help but laugh. But it's huge.
Yeah, it's a giant bean, but wow, the way it was processed, grown, everything, zippy acidity, nice little stone fruit sweetness to hold it up. Our favorite, and it's but also has lots of florals on it. Yeah. So it's a fun little coffee that we're excited to bring in. So a lot of returning producers, and then one different producer that we haven't served yet. Yeah. So what's your favorite coffee?
I mean, it's definitely the Bader, the Elias and Shady, not the decaf, but the decaf is always on the top list. You know that. Yeah. But it's that one, the Java varietal from Elias and Shady Bader. It's pretty epic. It's unreal. Yeah. I've just been drinking way too much of it, and I'm getting used to it. But I'm continually obsessed with how tasty that coffee is. And I think there's a lot of similarities with the coffees that we have. There's like overlaps of different flavor profiles, but that's also a reflection of like what we like and kind of the flavors that we prefer. But there's also a decent enough range that we have in our coffee, so they're not like one dimensional. They don't all taste the same. There's even a natural, like we've had this conversation many times, but there is a natural in the mix. So that's going to be your classic Ethiopian. And I'm actually stoked about that one too. I think that's one of those coffees, like there's certain people that come to my mind that I'm like, man, I want to share that coffee with that person, because it's great to have those big flavors, but it's also nice to have a coffee that's still nuanced and not just big in one flavor.
Yeah, that the natural's been fun to cup and taste. But yeah, I cannot speak high enough of the Elias and Shady coffee. The Java varietal, single varietal, semi-wash processed, absolutely just beautiful. Like truly beautiful. Like when I think about my ideal coffee, that's really high up there. Yeah. So I hope that the few people that get to enjoy it while it lasts, I'm excited for you and I'm happy for you, and I hope you can really enjoy what that coffee has to offer. For sure. But in general, one thing that we also wanted to roll out is all of these coffees, the entire menu is going to fit under 3 main identifiers. And this is something that we'll build on for the future, but to give you a little sneak peek, for those who follow us on Instagram also, we'll have seen this, but we have all of our coffees will come kind of identified under 3 labels. Number 1 is going to be timeless. Number 2 is going to be modern. And number 3 is going to be eternal.
Mm-hmm.
Timeless coffees are going to be coffees that are, coffees that are fantastic, but they're going to be coffees that are timeless.
Yeah.
It's a very familiar flavor profile. It's coffees that you can rip on Spro and they will slap. They're very universal in terms of how you can brew them, anywhere from drip to espresso. They're just very solid coffees. Not to say that they're any worse or better, but they're gonna be kind of more on the chocolatier side, stone fruit. We're aiming for heavy sweetness on it. And so that's what timeless is gonna feel like. Modern, the second one, it's modern. It's a representation of what modern processing, what modern roasting, what modern sourcing looks like. It's gonna be coffees that are excellent, that have just great complexity, nice acidity, great sweetness, like all the good things in coffees that we enjoy and will rave about. That's where that will sit. Like coffees that Mir is excited to be serving, that are outstanding. And then the final one is going to be called Eternal. And that's going to be saved for some rare occasions. And any thoughts you want to share on that one?
On Eternal?
It might be what I'm most excited about, but
I'm super excited because not only will it be coffees that maybe we have lower volume of, these coffees are going to be like very special to I guess this, like, I think of like the gem lot. That's one of the things. Like, this coffee is unreal, but we also don't have a lot of it, and we want to make sure that this coffee kind of casts vision to how we want to move forward. This might be like a little glimpse to like, oh, we like this coffee, we maybe want more of this. So it's also like a moving forward kind of vision of coffees with a rare aspect, unless you want to add any more.
I mean, I think these coffees are going to be standout. Like these won't be average coffees by no means. They're going to cost a little more. There will be exquisite. They'll be kind of the best of what we can find. It is not going to be guaranteed that they will always be on the menu. Sometimes we will not have an eternal coffee because we want to save that for coffees that really inspire us for the future of what's going to be capable, what's going to be possible in the future. And this is just a glimpse into that, but really outstanding coffees. And to give you some frame of reference, our Elias and Shady coffee is going to be launching as an eternal coffee.
Right.
That's going to be our first crack at this series or this line of coffees, which we're excited about. It's one of our favorite coffees is 2022.
Exactly.
So,
and it has the rare aspect of it as well. So it kind of ticks all the boxes. But with that said, like, the whole goal of these 3 categories is to help people navigate through our website, but through the whole Mirror experience. It's made there as a tool for us to communicate different elements about the coffees that we love. That's about it. So the more the website gets developed, the more it grows, the more Mirror grows. This is going to be a very prominent deciding factor for you, a returning customer, or even new customers to get familiar with what are we presenting here? What does all of this mean? So I'm super stoked on those categories. When you pitched the idea, I had a hard time wrapping my mind around what categories can we create that will help people like not only experience our coffees, but will allow us to communicate that. When you brought that up, I was like, this hits.
So I'm pumped about it. It's going to be exciting. It's also something that's very in its early stages, but I already have a lot of ideas of how we're going to build on those concepts, and it's going to be exciting. But needless to say, thank you to everyone who's been listening to the podcast over the last 2 years, who has followed us in our journey, for every single email that was sent. Literally, we could not have gone to this point without any one of you. Like, literally, the support, the how much people believe in us, the trust, the questions, the conversations that we've had have all played a role in getting us here. And we hope that you can enjoy this gift back. We hope that this really makes you feel valued when you drink it, and you can enjoy these coffees, that these coffees really are just really enjoyable, like when you're brewing them. So just really from the bottom of my heart, I'm just saying thank you to everyone. And yeah, I'd say just go pick up a bag if you, at least. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, the box, man, that gets me so excited. So go pick up a box if you can. But yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah.
Super
final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I really hope this is your first coffee of 2023.
I don't know,
but
I'm scared if you haven't had coffee for the last 3 weeks. I don't know if that's your resolution, like no coffee.
No coffee until mirror drops. Let's go.
Hey, if you're there, like that's impressive.
Yeah, so that's dope. Yeah, I'm super stoked.
Yeah, well, friends, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. I hope you enjoy what we have to offer, the experience, and really thank you once again. And friends, we have some exciting podcast episodes coming up. Next week's going to be fun and exciting, so stay tuned for that. But friends, as always, reflect what's good.